Hi. There we go. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Glenn Hurst. Can you all hear me okay? Great. I'm a family practice physician from Minden, Iowa, and I'm running for the U.S. Senate because I want to see Iowa thrive. And we haven't been thriving, right? We want to see it happen. We've had huge problems in our rural communities and across the state. You heard Deidre bring up several of them. You've heard us talking about them over and over again tonight. You don't need me to convince you that Iowa has been going the wrong direction and that this country has been going the wrong direction, right? Right. We all know that. You need to know about the candidate. You need to know about what our plan is to make things better, to turn around that failure to thrive. So I'm the candidate who's been chair of the Rural Caucus for the Iowa Democratic Party for the last term. I was vice chair of that caucus for the previous term. In physician terms, that means I've had my fingers on the heartbeat of Iowa, the pulse of Iowa, for a while. I also chaired Cindy Axney's district, getting her reelected to the 3rd district. Yeah. And that means I know how to win. And that's what we need, is candidates that can win. We need to run candidates at the top of the ticket that are going to win this, the Democratic vote, and bring all those folks in for the people that are running those hard House and state Senate races. So we deliver the Democratic Party to those folks. So who were those folks again? Let's see some hands. There were House District folks here, that people were running for House District, right? I know we got a few. Right, they are relying on the top of the ticket. They're relying on Deidre and I to deliver the Democratic Party. And we haven't delivered the Democratic Party at the top of the ticket in the last 4 general elections, right? We haven't won for a governor. We haven't won for a senator, several times for senators, against vulnerable Republicans, okay? So if we want to keep doing what we've been doing, I think we're going to expect the same results we've been getting. And I believe we need to do something different. We need to run a candidate who's got roots in the Democratic Party, right? People who have worked with your chairs and your vice chairs, people who have worked with the other caucuses across the line. I worked on the presidential elections, all of those satellite caucus events that we put together. I helped organize those activities. I am a city council person myself, so I know exactly what federal policy looks like at the local level. And we need help. Our rural communities, rural counties in Iowa, have had a 25% population loss in the last 40 years, right? So if we're going to talk about that, we got to talk about the elephant in the room. Pun intended. Chuck Grassley, 47 years, 40 years of population loss. John Norwood, I think, is here. He's going to tell you about the soil loss, 10 pounds of soil going down the river for every pound we make. There's John right there. Good. Yes, there's the man. I'm going to let him talk to you all about that. We've lost health care, which is a primary anchor for your communities, right? If you can't get health care in your community can't grow, right? We've got 40 hospitals in Iowa listed as at high risk for closure. 40. The majority of rural hospitals have given up delivering babies. Now, we all took 7th grade health class, right? We all know what it takes to grow a community. And if you can't deliver babies in that community, you're not going to grow. Think of it. I've got kids. They go off to college. They haven't come back to our community, right? Because they can't start a family in that community, right? So they go to the big city. And when they start to have kids, what's the number one reason for population loss in rural Iowa? Grandbabies, in my opinion. I don't think you're going to find that data anywhere. But I know what happened in my clinic, right? As soon as your kids start having kids, families start moving to be near those grandkids, right? And then when mom and dad get sick or need a little additional help, we don't all just pick up from Des Moines and move back out to our rural community, do we? We bring them into where we're at, and our population begins to shrink. And when your population shrinks, then your services shrink. And when your services shrink, your population shrinks. And it becomes this self-perpetuating cycle of rural communities dying. I drove here from Pottawatomie County today. That's where I live. I drove through rural communities that look very similar to mine, where Main Street has probably half the storefronts closed. In my town, people are actually living in the storefronts because business is not coming back to our communities. When I drive past your state parks and over the rivers and streams, I always take a look over to the side, see if I see a sign, and I always see one says water too hazardous for animals or children, and that is part of the reason we're here in rural Iowa, right? We like the great outdoors. We like to be able to hunt and fish and hike and do all of those things, but our very earth is becoming inhospitable to our basic desire to want to live in rural Iowa. So we've got to approach those things, and we've got to talk about the way we're going to approach those things, okay? And that's what I mean when I talk about we got to talk about the elephant in the room. The real elephant in the room is the candidates that we're going to put forward to make this happen, because people care about those issues, right? Those demographics that Deirdre brought up, those 46% that showed up from the independents, those are made up of young people, that under 25 crowd. Those are made up of people who have decided to throw their hands up in the air and say, look, I'm done with the Democratic Party because they're not putting forth people that are going to address these issues that we really care about. And the issues that those people care about are the environment. The climate crisis is real, and we have to do something to reduce emissions. And emissions and production of clean energy have got to be part of our plan, right? We've got to give them the tools they need to thrive in their rural communities and communities across the state. That means everybody needs access to health care, because those hospitals aren't just closing in rural Iowa. Change rural Iowa to communities of color. Change rural Iowa to communities of immigration. These are all people that are losing access to the services that are necessary for our communities to grow. And if we're going to motivate them to come out to vote, we better be talking about how we're going to meet those needs, right? I am the candidate that will say to you, I believe in health care for all. Every person in this country should have access to health care whenever they need it, wherever they need it. My personal experience was a man that came into my office without health insurance because he had pain in his abdomen, okay? And he had a bulge. He thought he had a hernia. He wanted us to help him out. He knew he was going to need surgery, but no insurance, no idea where to start. Hadn't seen a doctor since like 7th grade sports physical. So we said, sure, come on in. There's no bill collector in Minden. We'll settle up eventually. He came in, and when I went into the exam room, I saw a guy who was kind of yellow, and his face was kind of gaunt, and his belly stuck out. And when I examined him, I didn't feel a little hernia. I felt marbles under his rib cage here. And that's cancer. And it was cancer. It was metastatic colon cancer to his liver, so it had been there a while. Guy's in his 60s. Had he had access to health care, he would have had a colonoscopy when he turned 50. We'd have found those polyps and removed those polyps, and they would have never progressed to cancer, and he would have never have gone from 7th grade physical to hospice as his example of the American healthcare system. We can do better than that, right? We need a candidate who says, I believe the climate crisis is real, and we're going to address it. We're going to address it using language that we can get everybody on board with, right? Conservation. I want to eat fish at the fish fry you guys are going to throw for us, right? And if you caught that fish in Iowa water, I ain't eating. I want to be able to go to the local lake and let my kids swim in the water. I want to be able to enjoy the great outdoors. But I need you to come with me to carry the message on democratic principles that Democrats want Iowa to thrive, that Democrats know how to make Iowa thrive, and that together we can make Iowa thrive. I'm Dr. Glenn Hurst. I'm running for the U.S. Senate, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.